Okay, I think we're live. Hey there, everybody. Time to continue the picture I started a few weeks ago on the previous live stream. So I'm wanting to see that come together and look a little bit better. It's been staring at me for the last few weeks. And once again, I could have done a better job with my hair, but hey, I do that so you can laugh at me. Oh, look at that artist, Joe. He never pays attention. Oh man. Oh well. I have other abilities. Okay, I'm going to get started real quick here. I'm just going to make sure that we've got a healthy internet connection and stream going here. All right, good to see everybody on board. I see that. I'm looking at the chat right now to see if anybody's hollering. Hey there, I see. I love the big bull. Hello, Joe. Thank you, Black Diamond, for that big friendly hello. I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, now I know you can hear me and see me, Leanne. Thank you. Thank you for saying that encouraging thing about my hair. It's time to cut it. Okay, so if anybody wants to call in at any moment, this stream, this weekend stream, I make free for everybody. I'm streaming from a platform called superpeer.com. So you can see that hashtag in the description, and you can see it on the previous streams. So if you want to call in, my point in saying that is if you want to call in and talk to me, you can do that through the SuperPeer platform. And so I'll leave you to explore that and ask whatever questions you need to ask along the way. So I would love to hear from anybody that wants to call in while I'm painting. There's no real important agenda today, just working on the picture. I'd love to add a boat in there. So here's my thinking. As I'm picking apart my own work, I hate the way this looks. This is like a big interference of the perspective that I want to see. So this, I want to have my purple flowers. I love the purple flowers, but it all could just be, maybe reshaped so that it, kind of takes me into the picture. It has this flat feel to it. I don't like that. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to add maybe a little kayak somewhere because I want to see the shadow of the boat hitting the bottom of the water there. I think that would be a lot of fun. Hey there. Hi, Joe says Printessa. Thank you for the hello. Thank you. I turn around every so often to just see it. Thank you. Thank you, underscore Mr. underscore Besats. Okay. The usernames are great. Yeah, I always have such a fun time trying to say hello back to the usernames. Thank you for the greetings this morning. It's morning for me here in Arizona. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. So you have a lot of different times out there. I hear somebody beeping in. Okay, give me a minute. Give me a minute here. Okay, I see you there, Mary. Give it a minute to connect. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. We've got the zoomed out picture before I get painting on this. Let's get a nice view. There we go. Now you can see what I'm doing just a little bit better. Right, let's go a little bit further. There we go. So just let me know if you can't see something. I tend to accidentally paint off canvas sometimes. So you just got to tell me when that happens. Okay, I see you're connected there, Mary.
Yep, I'm here. I just thought I'd.
How are you?
Although it's going to be very
I haven't
busy.
talked to you in a little bit. Hey, okay, so here's the thing that we have to get in order. Mary, good to hear from you again. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, Mary is one of the regular subscribers on SuperPeer. How do you like the experience so far on the subscription channel?
It is awesome. I recommend it to anyone who wants to learn anything about painting. Joe is the expert.
Thank you for that nice compliment. I appreciate that. Now, Mary, I've learned something. There's been a problem with the stream cutting in and out whenever your internet connection is not very fast. So if at any point it starts glitching,
well, my screen just went black. I can hear you, but I cannot see you. So I might.
Yeah. Okay. So that has potential. If your internet connection goes bad, that has potential to affect the stream quality overall, not just on your end.
Well,
so let's just be
yeah,
mindful
then I got
of that.
one bar.
Yeah, so.
Well, I might not be able to moderate then.
Well, that's okay. Just talk
if
to
I
me when there's
can't
something
see
important.
you-
Just
I can't see anything though.
oh man, right. Yes, the stream stopped for me too as well. I can see that. Sorry, everybody.
Oh.
We're gonna fix it. Okay, so Mary, if your internet stream improves, then just call in temporarily to say anything important, and we'll preserve the stream quality for everybody that way.
I'm sorry.
So, hey, no problem, no problem. It's worth trying.
All right.
We're at the mercy of the internet connections here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
See you, Mary. Okay, give me a minute to make sure my stream gets fixed here, everybody. Okay, give me a minute. Let's see, we've got a dark screen going. I have to make sure that works. Switch cameras. Give me a minute. Okay, there we go. Ah, now we're back. Hey, everybody, how's it going? We had a glitch in the stream. Mavis, I see you there. And I'm clicking to let you call in right here. It just takes a moment to connect. All right, so this is where we were. While Mavis is connecting, I'm getting my materials set up. So I'm going to put some white. You saw me. Well, I don't know if you saw me. I had the camera down here, but the screen went black. And so I'm peeling off the old paint. I'm going to put new paint. I always work with this water-based paint. You know, it's kind of fun. I can just throw that on the floor. Oh, no, it went black again. Hang on.
Hi, Joe.
Hey there, Mavis. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Yeah, I volunteered to take Mary's place.
Okay. Very good. I switched cameras back and forth, and I went, tell me every time it goes black like that, let me know, and I'll do the switch.
I'll do it. So you just came back on.
Yeah. Let's see if it improves as we go. That'll be nice if you just holler at me every time that happens. Yeah. So it might be on my end. I don't know. All I know is that we're at the mercy of both sides of the internet stream. It looks like maybe mine's overloaded at the moment. Okay, so I'm putting my materials together. This is my, okay. I'm realizing this camera is off. This is what happened. It's user error on my part. Sorry, everybody.
I can see your palette.
Yep, and now you know that my camera is not recording because it said no memory card. There we go.
Okay,
that's it. That's what I was trying to show. Okay, that's why the screen went black. Mary, it wasn't your fault. If you've got a reason to call in, just call in and tell me if there's something that you want to talk about painting, Mary. I did not mean to cut you off. Mavis, it's good to talk to you. You having a good day?
I'm having a great day.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wait, I was helping set up for a yard sale this morning.
Uh-oh. Perfect weather in Prescott.
Is it? Yeah, it's beautiful here too. Okay, so we're finally starting. Sorry about all the technical difficulties. It's the usual story dealing with those things. So I've got my wall paints in squeeze tubes here. That's what I'm using. And so I'm putting some white, I have run into a few little problems with the squeeze tubes. Sometimes they get clogged if I'm not diligent about closing the lids. So I'm just going to open that up. But I use wall paints for everything. It's acrylic paint. And it just has a thinner viscosity. So I can work real fast with it, and it's less expensive. So anything I'm not real invested in keeping, when I'm practicing, these are much more ideal than the more expensive options. Because they get the colors on the canvas. They help me do my experiments and my research and figure things out for a lower cost. So just put wall paints in a tube and you can do the same thing that I'm doing here. So okay. I'm loading up my.
We've got Pre-Meyer from Australia.
Nice. Okay, all the way from Australia. Thanks for tuning in.
And Robert Fincher wants to know where you're going to go with that paintbrush in your hand.
Hey, Joe. Oh man, I just saw a note. I got distracted. I always get distracted by the thumbnails on YouTube. I saw a Jimi Hendrix interview. And man, first time I ever saw him talk in person, it was really interesting. I love seeing like famous people of the past on ordinary interviews. It's so humanizing. You see how they're just like me and you. Well, except not. Okay, so here's my paintings.
And Mary wants to know if you have any of your paintings in your yard sale.
No, none of my paintings in the yard sale. Right, good question. Good question. I don't. All right, I'm trying to remember what colors I use in this. I think I had some orange. So I'm going to extend out the, I have paint. I want to put them up for sale, my paintings. I want to put them up for sale, but I don't think a yard sale is a great way to get top dollar.
Well, I agree. Everybody wants to pay a quarter for things in a yard sale.
Yeah, it's a yard sale. That's why you do yard sales. I mean, I can't blame anybody for that. It's just, that's what you do. It's a yard sale. So
Well,
for anybody that didn't watch the previous, were you going to say something? Did I stop you there?
Well, I was just going to say there was a big opening of 26 artists went together and got this big space on Cortez, which is like the antique alley of Prescott. And they had their grand opening last night.
Okay, that's fun. Did you go see it?
I did. Yeah,
Okay,
Ann and I
nice.
went down, and some of the paintings were really pretty nice, and of course some I wouldn't want to hang in my house. But yeah, it was an interesting mix. Let me say that. Right.
Sounds like an art show. One of these days, I want to get down in that Scottsdale art show they do every year. It's real big. Always a real big turnout. Scottsdale's a big city down in the Phoenix, Arizona area. For anybody wondering about that. Okay, so I'm just continuing. Anybody that wasn't here for previous episodes, I'm just continuing with this technique that I landed on to do all of these little squiggly lines. And so I'm trying to get just the right shade of some grayish, brownish dirt color, somewhere in between my watercolor and my sand color, somewhere in between. And then I use a much more watered down paint. That's what these are. These are very thinned, so that when I put them on, and I just have like the one for my deeper water, that's why it's greener. The one for my shallower water, that's why it's yellower. So when I come up here and put on that paint that's real thin, see it spreads out. It beads up on the edges, and it leaves a thin spot in the middle. So that's a technique I'm using to get the little lines. So you can try it out, see if it works for you. See if you get the same results. Now, what I'm trying to do is fill in. I'm trying to bring my beach forward just a little bit. I would like to see this.
So Tom Kearns wants to know, is your boat going to be in the bay or on the beach?
Well, maybe I could do both. I wonder if it'd be cool to do a ship out at sea and a little kayak up close. What about that? I don't know. I'm trying to decide what would be best. I'm not sure.
Do you want input?
I'm trying different.
Do you want?
Yeah. Tell me what you think. This is up for grabs here. So I'm just trying to do little swoopy shapes here. See how it makes the little lines of it? That's exactly what I'm looking for, because these little squiggly lines, they are representing the direction of the ripples in the water. We've been talking a lot about ripples lately on the weekly live shows that we do on Super Pier. This was yesterday or 2 days ago. I'm losing track of the days. 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
We did ripples in cloth and compared that to ripples in landscapes. So it was a fun project to compare those things. A lot of in-depth study. Okay,
so Mary has a suggestion of painting a rubber dinghy.
What's a dinghy?
I don't know. I'm just reading the.
I've heard that word before. I just don't know what it is.
I think it's like a rubber raft.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Maybe that's okay. That makes sense. I'm gonna try going a little greener on this one, a little bit greener. I'm experimenting with all these different shades of greenish, bluish, grayish, brown, because I don't actually remember what my dark base color was, something like that. And then I come in here and it lightens when I hit it with my thinner squiggly light color. That'd be cool. A little raft.
So
That'd
we
be
got a
neat.
couple, yeah, we got a couple more suggestions. Leanne says
Okay.
a very small boat. Robert Fincher says, how about an outrigger canoe?
Oh, okay. Outrigger canoe. No, that sounds like a quick Google search to see what an outrigger canoe looks like. I'm not too good with terminology. How about you? Do you know what that is?
I don't. I know what a
Okay.
canoe
Well, I could
is.
just do an image search. We could find it. Yeah, I think a little boat sounds like a good idea. So the way I'm going to do that, and I think I'm going to tackle the foreground boat before I do other things because I put that in the title of this video, and that's going to be very, very annoying if people see the title of my video and don't see me painting a boat. Okay, how's that for some practical reasoning?
That's right. So,
You thought I was going to say some fancy artistic composition thing.
so Leanne says a dinghy is a very small boat.
Oh, a dinghy is a very small boat. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do a quick search here. Let's go over here and see what images I can find on. We'll do dinghy. Okay, is it like dinghy like that? Dinghy boat.
D-I-N-G-Y is one spelling.
Okay. That pulled up images for me. Let's check it out.
There it is.
This is a dinghy. Okay, so we could put some of these in there. One of these in there. All right. It's a raft style boat. It's got like the tube around the edge. Okay, that's one option. Oh, classic. Look at this. A classic dinghy is not inflatable. It's just a little boat with a flat back on that picture. Okay. Oh, and I like this one here. Let's see similar. Yeah, I like the classical look better. My picture, I kind of like the more organic look of it. That'd be cool. Okay, so we could just like do a wood one with the flat back. Okay, let's see outrigger. Let's check out outrigger canoe. Is that what it was?
Yeah, Tom Kerr says it helps balance the canoe, I believe.
Outrigger. What helps balance the canoe? Oh, I see. Outrigger is a little piece on it. I see. That's why it's an outrigger. I got it. Okay, that's cool. Check these out. We can put that thing on there.
Yeah,
wow, that's neat.
So Mary says an outrigger canoe that has a balancing bar as long as the boat is off to one side.
Okay, that's cool. Nice. Okay. Well, I really love this outrigger canoe, but I want to do a lot of things in my painting, and this has more parts than the dinghy. So I'm going to go for the simple boat. I want to take the easier job. I do like this. This is really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to go for the dinghy style boat. Now I know a new word. Now we know what a dinghy is. We're going to do similar Seymour.
Okay,
it's a funny word, isn't it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of a funny word. Uncle
Yeah.
Uncle 60 says, do you prefer oil or acrylics to do a seascape painting?
Well, I think I prefer acrylics, but that's not to say that they're better. It's just a more enjoyable experience for me to paint it because I can do it fast. When I do a seascape painting, there's things that are possible with oil that are more difficult. Of course, as we all know, oil gives you time to work it. I'm back here showing paintings now. We're gonna take a look at this painting. So this right here, it's kind of big. It's awkward for getting here. This is oil. This is oil. I think I've showed it before. This is oil. Show and tell time. Right here. Let's see if we can set it on this. Set it on this right here. Okay, I'm just gonna sit right here and show it. This is hard. Can you see it? Okay, we're gonna zoom in.
Most of it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna pan it so I don't have to mess with the camera. This is oil, And, you know, it's really fun to be able to do all those details, to do the transparency of the, oh, here, let me move it this way. The transparency of that wave, the shapes of the foam. I can make all of that smoother and have lots of time to work it, but it takes so long because oil is heavy in comparison. And you can, of course, thin it. You can add all the oil-based thinners and mediums and do those things, but those usually have an effect on the sheen when it dries. And I don't like complex setups with different materials. So they just are different. And so the experience of water-based is funner for me because it's fast and I just go to it quick and do what I'm thinking, even though it's probably not quite capable of some of the same complex gradients as oil. The other thing that is annoying about water-based, I'm going to paint on my tongue.
Excuse me a
I
second,
think it's
Joe.
annoying.
If you could remind your people watching your video, if they press the question button, it gets highlighted as a question and will get asked to you for sure, because there's a lot of chatting going on.
Okay, good. Yes, that's it. On the Super Peer platform, as I'm talking, I'm mixing a color for the shadow of the boat, just so you know what I'm doing. And so on the Super Peer platform that I'm streaming from, if you subscribe to that, you can do that for free. And this stream in particular is a free stream. Not all of them are free, but this one is. Then you'll see there's a column to leave questions, comments, and at the top there's a tab that says questions. Look for the tab at the top that says questions. It gets marked, and then it's an easy place for me or for Mavis to find it. Okay, so what I'm doing is just trying to create a color that's a little bit on the blue-greenish side, just a little. I'll add some of this blue to it to get a shadow. Let's test this color. I'm really not sure. This is going to be some trial and error. I'm going to see what this one looks like, and I'm going to put the shadow right in here. Let's go right there. Okay, this is going to be the shadow of the boat, but I want this to be, we were just talking about this the other day. So out here is a hole, but under this water is a lighting scheme. There's all this light under the water that is separated because the air on top of the water is so reflective. It stops that light from coming out. And so there's a whole different light scheme under the water. This is why water on the beach can appear so blue, because all this blue light from the deep is shining right into it. Okay, so the reason I'm saying that is because that is going to really influence the color of a shadow. So a believable shadow color needs to have some of the color of the water in it so that it looks related. So that's all I'm trying to do, is get a little bit darker than my surrounding colors, then put the shadow of a boat in perspective. And I'm going to add just a touch of blue to this. You know, I'm trying to really balance the color. It needs to look like a darker version of my sand color, but a little more turquoise. That's what I'm after. Here's a little more blue. I'm going to go a touch of yellow in there, just a teensy little touch of this bright yellow that's down here. I'm going to put that here. There we go. See that tiny bit of greenish hue? I think this will be a good shadow. Now, water, you know, all the ripples on water are going to change the directions of light rays. So I don't need like a very perfect outline of the shadow. Just something that looks like a shadow. You know, it's just getting a basic shadow in there.
So Joe,
Okay.
So this just blows my mind that you paint the shadow before the boat.
Oh, okay. Well, I need the boat to overlap the shadow, and I'll be choosing how deep this water is in the process of doing that.
Oh.
So, you know, it's the workflow is a little simpler in my mind. Okay, so I decided this is the dimensions of my boat. Yeah, it's just easier for me to think about. It's easier for me to think about my placement doing the shadow first. So what reasons would you have to do the boat first, then the shadow? I'm curious, you know.
Because I can't even picture where the boat's going to go. and then
Oh,
to
I
draw
see.
shadow
Oh,
first, yeah, it just doesn't register with it.
okay. I gotcha. I gotcha. Well, I've got light going. See, I tend to feel like I'm sculpting my landscape. And so if I'm thinking of this from like a sculpting point of view, or like a 3D modeling program, I'm trying to associate everything with where it hits the floor, where it, what it's like coordinates. If you're thinking about 3D coordinates, I'm trying to decide what's equal depth, what's equal. So when I put the shadow, it's kind of like locking in the base. And I'm like, okay, now I'm going to build on top of this. It gives me a depth coordinate, a very approximate, just a depth idea. So then I can decide if I like it or if I want to adjust it before I get into the details of the boat.
So this shadow is on the bottom below the water.
Yeah, and so the color is really important for getting that effect. I want to have a believable color. Okay, I want to make it doesn't sound great when I talk about what color I'm going to make my dinghy. I'm going to say the boat. We're going to make the boat, the dinghy boat, wood tone. So I'm going to put a lot of orange and black in the brighter parts of it. So, I'm just going to build this in 3D real quick. We're going to go a darker shadow in the middle where the sun's coming this way. So this is going to be the deep part of it. So we'll make a little wall coming up this way, right? So I want you to see where this might be helpful. When I'm painting, I'm transferring I'll work on this in a minute, but I think this could be valuable. When I'm painting, I'm transferring drawing knowledge to color. I'm filling in a drawing in my mind with the colors, with the paint. So I'll just really briefly demonstrate the drawing that I'm thinking of. And so it's really helpful to be able to sketch what you're thinking. Okay, this is the top rim of the boat. Here's the back wall coming down like that. And then, this in here's gonna go like this, and the boat's gonna go like this. And then the surface of the water will be here. This will be the back of the boat. So I'm imagining this shape the whole time I'm painting. I'm imagining it, the whole time. And so this bottom of the boat will be visible just in this area because this curves around like this, so we're not going to see that go all the way to the nose. This is the floor of the boat. There's going to be seats that come across. Those were in the picture. Let's make a couple seats. And this is just a little picture. So if I get something wrong, no big deal. It's the idea that matters. Okay, so perspective rectangle. So drawing in perspective is a real valuable skill that can be practiced and improved for sure. And it comes in handy when I'm trying to real quick put lights and shadows in places, because now I know I go with my darker orange. I'm going to put my darker orange color for the wood tone everywhere I know this wall is. This wall of the boat, because the sun is going this way. So this is going to be my dark orange color. This is going to be a lighter shade of brown because I want wood tone. As I lighten a wood tone, it needs to shift toward yellow to get that translucent wood look. So this is going to be lighter, because the sun is shining on it. That's going to make at some slant. I don't know exactly what the angle would be, but there's going to be a little cast shadow if the light's going this way. This corner, the wall that rises up here, as the sun comes down at an angle, it's going to make a shadow on this back wall, just like that. So I'll have my lighter yellow or brown, and then I'll have my darker orange or brown. Were you going to say something there, Mavis?
Yeah, so when you said the light shining on the back of the boat, there would be more sunlight and it would look more translucent. What does that mean?
Oh, well, because if I get, I love the way you ask questions. What are you talking about?
I'm
gonna
so
find
confused.
Okay, give me a second here. Okay, I'm finding something made out of wood. It's not going to take long. Okay, Here's something under my computer. Okay. In order to make I'm going to switch cameras. In order to make something look like wood, have you ever tried to paint a picture of wood? It's hard because you match a color. I'll tip this more toward the light. You match a color and it still just looks like a solid color of paint, no matter where you get the match from. That's because the look of wood is a relationship of values compared to each other. So as these colors get darker, they shift their hue toward a less yellow color. There's this constant pattern of things shifting a little more toward the yellow as they get brighter on a translucent brown color. So in the same way that the water on my painting, you see, if I want brighter, where my water gets brighter, I shift the color toward the green, just toward the green. It doesn't mean I make it green. It just means it has a little more. See how this is more turquoise. So I get the look of illumination by shifting that and getting a brighter, intense color. So if I do that same thing with wood, I get a translucent look with the similar pattern. So the darker spots, so see how this has a bunch of darker spots on it? See how it's dark? Yeah. Well, okay, if I were to swatch those, then if I were to paint it, I would make those a little less yellow, more red. I'd shift them more toward red. Now they're all just shades of brown, but as I'm zooming in, okay, as I'm zooming in to get this look, this is the pattern of wood. The shadows are a slightly more reddish brown. The light colors are a slightly more yellowish brown. And if you just add white to the shadow color, you will not get that look. It will probably not look so much like wood. Now there's other things that can help, like the texture, but those are secondary. You can tell wood from a distance very quickly. You can see it from a distance because it has that distinct color relationship. And when you look at wood in a photo converted to black and white where there's no color, it can be hard to tell if it's wood if you don't have like the grain or something giving it away, because you don't see that relationship. So it's very much a color relationship. So that's what I'm going to do with the little dinghy. I'm going to make it look like it's made of wood by shifting the brown toward yellow wherever it gets brighter, just a little bit.
So translucent means like more illuminated?
It means it lets light shine through it. That's how I'm using it. Technical meaning of translucent, maybe I don't have the authority to define that, but what I'm referring to is a material that allows light to shine through it to some extent. Okay, so for example, we're going to do our little edge of the boat in perspective here. And I'm going to put some gray in it because I'm not trying to do a super intense color right here. I'm looking for a color relationship. But that doesn't mean that the colors need to be intense at all. It's just that the relationship needs to be there. Okay, so see, this one is just orange and black and white. In order to get a gray version at whatever lightness I want, maybe I like that darkness. That's good. That's good for a shadow because the sun's coming this way. That's blocking the light. This is in the foreground. Okay, now on this wall of the boat, it's going to be yellower. Now that's probably too much yellow. It only needs to shift a little bit. Let's put a bunch of orange in there. And now black and white again. Here's some white. Right there. Here's some black. And I'm just going to make some little streaks. I just need it to be lighter and I think it helps if there's saturation too. Like if this was a super gray tone of the lighter yellow or brown, that might be a conflict, we're trying to simulate the light illuminating something. So see how immediately this light and shadow relationship resembles something made of wood, because where it gets brighter, I made it get a little bit yellower, and it only takes a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to put that little shadow. There's that little triangle shaped shadow I put on. And so slightly less yellow because it's getting darker. I'm grabbing some orange, and I already had some black conveniently blobbed in there, so I'll just put that in. Okay, so here's my little cast shadow. Oh, not dark enough. I need to get a little bit darker. It's, you know, I work big on murals, so then when I get on something small, it's like, oh, teeny tiny differences. Okay. There we go. So I want to see 3 values right here to get my 3-dimensional look. You know, I've got the cast shadow, I've got the direct light, I've got, what do you call the shadow on the opposite? Somebody help me. I don't know what you call the shadow on the opposite side of the light. You know, that's not the cast shadow. Is it, what is it? The back shadow? What do you call it? I bet there's an art term for this, you know, or this right here. You know, the dark side of an object because a light source is on one side and in a dimmer, it's dark on the other side. I don't know what you call it.
Isn't that just the shadow?
It's the dark side of the object. I don't know what you call it. I don't know if there's a word. I think shadows are named different things in a traditional art class, you know. I didn't listen very well when I was in high school art class.
I think they just call it the shadow.
Yeah, well, there's different kinds, and that's why I'm asking about the differentiation. You know, there's the cast shadow refers to that shadow of my hand on the canvas. You know, this right here, the shadow of my hand on the canvas, that's the cast shadow. But the dark side of my hand that I use, that wouldn't be considered the cast shadow. But I don't know what you do call it. I don't know what you call that. But it's not super important. We know the parts we're talking about. Okay.
It's a crying shame says the shaded side.
It's the shaded side. Thank you for the very practical answer. I appreciate that. Okay, so I'm going to get slightly lighter to curve the nose of the boat. I'm going to get slightly lighter.
So Mary says it is called a core shadow.
A core shadow. Really? I've never heard that. Okay, I'm going to take your word for it, Mary. Now we are public. We're streaming to the public on YouTube, so I'm gonna leave the ball in your court, you know, if that's accurate information, because I honestly don't know. Okay, so see my gradient? I'm making it lighter because this is curving like this toward the lighter side of the sky. Even if it never makes it all the way to facing the sun like these rocks, even if it just curves a little, it still is curving toward a brighter side of the sky. So I'm going to make it get lighter. I'm going to use I'm going to use this same color I mixed for my squiggly water, and I'm going to go right here.
So
it's watered down and it's easy.
Wolfpack Studios, Eric Nicola says drop shadow.
Drop shadow. That sounds very familiar. That sounds like so. Mary, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that one rings a bell for me. So that's a more familiar term.
Also, Mary wants you to trust her.
Okay, I'm gonna trust you. I'm gonna trust you. Core shadow, drop shadow. Okay, we got different terms. But what's more important than the terms is understanding what parts you're actually representing and how to piece it in there. So I always struggle with the traditional terminology. I kind of wonder what it'd be like if I went to school. I think I would enjoy that, going to if I had the time in my life to go to a traditional art class. I think I would actually enjoy jumping through the hoops of traditional things. I would disagree with stuff left and right, of course I would, but I like to think that I'm mature enough not to prioritize those disagreements anymore and just make the most out of the time in the class, because I was such a rebel and it really hurt me back then. You know, it really stunted my...
I get it. I've had both that experience, and going back to school as a quote mature person gives a whole new experience. Here I am in your art class.
There you go. There you go. Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, there's always something somebody knows that I don't. you know, there's always something there. So you know, it's a great skill in life to be able to just look for the things that you don't know without having to make a big scene out of the things you do know.
That's it. So Leanne says,
Okay.
I think core shadow is right. Haven't heard of drop shadow, but it could be right too.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I have heard of drop shadow. I haven't heard core. So we've got different terms, and that's cool. So now I can research both of those things and see if there is an intended difference. Okay, I'm going to put a light rim. Now that I've got my shape, I've got a couple parts I still want to put in there. So I want to put a light rim around the top. I want to put the part of the boat that's under the water just barely showing, because the water, you know how you look short when you stand in water, it's going to get squished. So I'm going to do both of those things. I'll mix a color. Let's do the part of the boat under the water first. I'll take a dark brown and mix it with some of my underwater lighting, which is like, I don't know what it is, a grayish, greenish, bluish, yellow. That's getting too complicated. Let's go down and see what we can make. Maybe just a little bit of black, yellow, and white will do it. These are magic.
We have another input from Mary. She says drop shadow is a shadow under a surface like the shadow of your boat on the sandy surface below. She says that's
okay. And that's what I was calling a cast shadow.
So yeah, so Mary says the shadow on the bottom, the sand under the water is the drop shadow.
Okay. All right, cool.
Okay, yeah.
There. So I made that little, I just did that. Oh, I hate that I did that. I'm sorry. I just painted this off camera. I thought I switched the camera. This is what I just did. Sorry to interrupt. I made a line right here. Okay, see this line? This is black, yellow, and white. And I went like this. I just made a thin line, like this. Skinnier. I lift the pressure off the brush, bend up a little, right there. And that's the bottom of the boat. See? So the way that is made to look like the bottom, I'm going to zoom in a little so you can see that color relationship. So I just added some, I'm sorry about the shaky camera. There you go. I just added some greenish, grayish color to a brown, and in my estimation was, well, that's similar to just adding yellow to a black, just from experience. You know, we're dealing with a gray that's shifted a little bit towards some shade of green. And if we mix a brown with a turquoise with, you know, it could be trial and error too. If I didn't get that right, I just try a little different shade. But it is so powerful to understand what colors of light will do when they mix, or colors of paint, to just predict mixing and understand, okay, in my environment, I have this color hitting this color, bouncing off. I want to see both of them. I have this bright, sunny light bouncing off the bottom of this water, and this is the light source that I'm considering to do the bottom of that boat. The light is coming from this dirt, not from the sun. Well, it is ultimately coming from the sun, but it's bouncing all around under this, shining on the bottom of the boat. And that's why under the water is brighter than above the water. Just to explain my reasoning and why I predicted that would be a good fit there. Okay, so now I'm gonna put a rim. I need little seats on my dinghy. Okay, so I'm gonna go. Oh, I'm having fun saying the word dinghy. Okay, we're gonna do white and yellow and orange. We're just making that light wood tone, just like I did on the back of the boat. I want to do a rim on the top. It's got to be maybe just a wee bit gray, like this. Okay, so, let's see if that's light enough.
Okay, so we have another vote from a guest user saying it's a super shadow.
A super shadow. Now that's one I haven't heard. I'm concentrating really hard to do that. I just did it on camera again.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry. I keep doing that. Okay.
And I was reading the chat.
Okay, I'm gonna do it on camera right here. Okay, I mixed my color that you were just now staring at while I was painting. Okay, and then I made this skinny little line with my detail brush. Okay, I'm gonna make another one right here. Just a line is all it is. Right there. There we go. Now we got the top of the boat. It's kind of hefty, you know. The nice thing about doing lines is you can always come back and trim them thinner. Always be mindful of the negative space between lines, because a lot of the time it's easier to adjust that than to adjust the line itself. Okay, I'm gonna go like this, make the back of the boat. I love, you know, these little highlights I'm doing because I like the 3D look that it'll give me. Okay, it looks a bit fat. You know, this boat needs to float really well, and I think that I made the walls too thick. I'm gonna go back down, and now I'm gonna flip the camera this time. I'm determined to remember, switch the camera so that you can see. Okay, here's my black and orange that I used with just a touch of white for the dark wall of that boat. Let's see if this matches. We go up here and go right in here. Okay, I'm gonna make that line skinnier. It's easier to make trim this line skinnier like that. There we go. I just want the dimensions of the boat to look a little bit, you know, a little bit more natural. There. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing right here. Just trim the edge of that line right there. Now I got just the tiniest little line. I like that better. Okay,
Yeah,
it's just the painting. Go ahead.
I was going to say, what a difference that makes.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we're gonna go like this. Make this skinnier as well. There. So I go back and forth when it's important to make a nice skinny line. When that's actually of importance, I'll trim the edges after I put it in. Go to the space in between. Hey, let's put some squiggly light. You know what'd be fun is a much lighter yellow. Let's get some light coming up on that wood. Okay, so I'm going to get a lighter yellow or brown and, you know, mix it with some water. Let's see if this works. Let's put this on there and let's see if, you know, this shining up, water, you know, sun reflects off of that. Let's make it kind of go like, let's see, how would this go? There, just a couple little squiggles, you know, because sun's like hitting that water and hitting the nose of the boat maybe. Right there. And then maybe we could just put, you know, we've got a much dimmer light on the other. This is the shady side. So maybe we have, I don't even know if it would actually happen, but it's a fun effect to put in there. Dimmer, grayer color right here. I'm going to put just a few little, oh, let's go darker. Let's go just a bit darker. This. Darker still. Hang on. We're getting there. Okay, this is the color I'm working with. I just add a little bit of a black to that kind of more gold color. And then, you know, just like I did on the rocks, you know, putting a few little squiggles like this. There we go. We got a little bit of light coming up on the base of the boat. I'm going to smear it with my finger a little so I just want soft lines. I mean, who knows if that would actually happen. I just thought it'd be a fun effect. Somebody knows. All right, I'm going to do the seats, then I'll be done with the boat and I can move on to the other stuff. Okay, so let's go down here, make a bright upward facing light color again. I'll use this to do the seats on my boat. So let's go here and just put a seat going across this way. I'm gonna follow that line of the back of the boat. 1 seat, 2 seats. There we go. We got 2 seats on there. Now I'm gonna make just a little bit of a shadow. I think it has 3 here. Let's put a little shelf on the front. There we go. That might be more convenient for the driver. Right there. I'm gonna add a little bit of a. What did we land on for the core, for the drop shadow? Okay, we're gonna put a little bit of a drop shadow of the wall right here. We'll use that term even if I'm not sure that it's the one. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of shadow of the wall in this shelf, a little bit of the shadow of the wall hitting this shelf. Let's go a little darker. This is how I would handle buildings too. You know, if I was painting buildings, I'd use the same perspective methods. There we go. Now we got just a little bit of a shadow on those. Let's go brighter. Boy, this video could be titled, "Detail Work Can Be Fun." It's a means to an end for me. You know, I don't do it for the love of it. I do it because the result when it comes to detail work. All I'm doing is brightening this, and when I brighten it, I just make it a little yellower to get that look. Okay, there's my boat with the shadow under it. We got it. We got the boat in here. Okay, time to move out and work on some other pieces of the picture here. Okay.
I don't like to bring up a detail too much here, Joe, but is it just like sitting there without an anchor or anything?
Right. Good question. Let's put a rope. I mean, it's missing oars too. It is. So I'm going to put a rope going into the water. This will be a fun effect. Let's do this. Let's make a rope coming off of it. It's just some kind of a gray brown color, just like the color of the wood. And what I'll do is make that tied to the nose. We'll make a little rope coming down like this, you know, and we'll make it, you know, the current's not strong, you know, so there's some slack in the rope. But where that rope goes into the water, that's going to be fun because we're going to make it lighter and more of that gray, more of that, you know, I just like this shadow color. I'm going to add more of that kind of color to it. So I'm adding black and yellow, a little bit of white to my color here. And then I'm going to go up to my rope and use that underwater color and go change the angle, do a sudden change of angle on here. Let me go a little bit lighter. Sudden change of angle.
Refraction.
There you go. Yeah, so that it looks like it suddenly goes under the water right there. Here, let's get a little more of a visible sudden change to the angle. Like that. Right there. And then it comes back out of the water. And go back to my dark color. Like that. There we go. So we got maybe just a little bit of refraction represented there. And then I can make my little shadow here black. It was black, yellow, white. I used, no, I used that for the bottom of the boat. I needed some of my turquoise. So a shadow color, I need to match the shadow color for the boat. So let's see if I can do that. Little bit of blue, maybe. Some of this yellow, let's see what that color looks like. Let's go in here. Needs to be bluer. I need those to match. I'm looking for matching shadow colors. Okay. All right, this goes down, which is going to make it go closer like this. Okay, whoops. I'm thinking hard right now. Okay, it's going to go up like this. Like that. There we go. That's the shadow of the rope.
That's it.
That's where it would be. Okay, I'm going to make this same shadow I just mixed for the rope. I'm going to put under the boat because it's a little darker and I want them to match. So we're going to put that same color here just for the sake of consistency. There we are. The contrast probably does the picture better too. It's messy, you know, it's a messy job at the shadow, but it's still there. Here, let's just kind of pull that up here. There we go. Now it's not as much of an eyesore. Okay. Now.
Okay, so Tom Kern said, would there need to be a little bit of light refraction in the shadow area next to the boat, since there is refraction on the side of the boat in the shadow?
Right, so are you talking, maybe by refraction, you're talking about the little light squiggles that I put in there? You know, we had this discussion the other day. I honestly have never really landed on a reliable, useful definition for refraction myself. Maybe it's my shortcoming to understand it, but the effect that we're talking about is perhaps the little light squiggles, the caustics that are down there. And I'm not going to put those in the shadow because the shadow is where that effect is being blocked, So maybe on the edge we would see a little, depending, the light is going different directions when it's those waves. So some of it might find its way into the edges of the shadow, but I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to leave it plain because overall it's just kind of blocking the light. Now, if let's say that we're agreeing that refraction is simply the phenomenon of light changing its direction when it transfers mediums. So light hits the surface of the water, it hits a little ripple, changes direction. So if that is the effect we're talking about, then everywhere I distort a shape, like the squiggly shadow, the squiggly edge, well, I'm representing the refraction there. When I make the part of the boat that's underwater very teeny tiny, that's refraction because it's the distortion from the light changing direction where it's entering or exiting the water. So, I like to just talk about the effects that are happening because that keeps, for me, keeps things separated and on target. I decided it'd look nice if my water kind of floated in. Made another little cove in here. I want to open that up a little bit. A little more open water.
Okay, so here's a little more continuation from what we call shadows. And Patty Hockheiser.
Okay. Good job on that name, Mavis. Good job.
Is that I was a little German. Okay, I'm doing my best.
Yeah, good job. It's hard to say these names.
Patty says, I am looking at a drawing with names of shadow, and I think it's called the form shadow.
Oh, that makes it, that one, it has sensibility to it, it really sounds like it describes what we're talking about. Okay, I'm going to go up here. I'll zoom out just a little bit. I zoomed way in on that boat. Now I'll zoom out a little bit so that we can see the part of the painting here that we're doing. Okay, now I want to work on this part of the painting that I hate. So I like the plant in there, but it's hurting my eyes to look at the way it's layered over these two things, So I'm going to start by putting some of my background watercolor in there.
It feels like the camera is too far in. I can't see the whole area that you were just pointing at.
Oh, really? This area right here, is that blocked out?
Oh, no, I can't. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to go higher with it. So, okay.
No. Well, for now, I'm just going to work on this. But you know what? I should go higher because I'm not working down below that point. We can see a little more context of the picture right there. So I'm just bringing my shoreline in is what I'm doing. And so I'm going to take my blue-green color. I'm going to put a little bit of white in there to get my bright turquoisey. Here, I'll use my watered down. This color right here. This is for the light caustics in the deeper water. I pre-mixed that because I needed watered down colors for that effect. So I'll do that here. If I want shallow water, I want that effect. Okay, I'll give myself a little more background here. I'll paint back over that wherever I need to, but I want to see some shallow coves coming in here to break up my little scene. It just isn't enough of a happy place. I need to work on the composition.
Okay, while you're doing that, Leanne read online, form shadows appear on the part of the object that is turned away from the direction of the light source. Core shadow is the darkest part of the form shadow that is least affected by reflected light.
Whoa, now that's getting specific.
You want me to read that again?
Yeah.
Okay, so form shadows appear on the part of the object that is turned away from the direction of the light source.
Okay.
And then
It's
the
on the
core,
object. It's not what I called the cast shadow. It's not that same thing.
that's right, definitely. This is
Yeah.
on the object itself. And then the core
Okay.
shadow is the darkest part of the form shadow.
Now the form shadow, is the form shadow the one casted on another object?
No, if it's cast on another object, that's the cast shadow.
Okay. So the form shadow, where is the form shadow?
That
You're
appears
teaching me right now.
on the part, I'm just reading the directions.
Yeah,
Form
that's good.
shadows appear on the part of the object that is turned away from the directional light of the light source.
Okay, that's form shadow. Okay, so form shadow and core shadow are in a similar place. Core shadow is just the darkest part of that form shadow.
That's what
that right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay, well, there we go. That's it. Well, whatever terms you want to use out there, you just do that. I'm not going to be a stickler about it. Okay, but that is very educational for me. Okay, I'm just piecing together my deep water out here, making it a little less green, a bit more blue, using my bright. I should have used the more turquoise color for the squiggles in there. I used the yellower one. That was a mistake. Needed that color. This is my more turquoise one. Putting this together, just trying to make it smooth gradient going out to the deeper watercolor. Here's my darker blue to patch in. You know, it's kind of fun thinking about that effect of all the little squiggly patterns, the caustics. It's fun, instead of thinking about it as squiggly lines, think about it as interlocked shadows that are close to each other, you know, sandwiching together and leaving skinny lines in between. It's fun to think about things from both perspectives of the negative and the positive space, however you want to define it. So I'm just mixing a darker blue to be my deeper water in here, putting some darker shadows so that I can get deeper water, a nice gradual change, so that this goes into a deeper cove out here. There we go. Getting rid of my extra light spots. I don't want those. I think that'll work right there. Gradual change up into that cove. That'll work for me. I would love to see some deep ripples of waves coming. Watch, this will be fun. I can real quick, I got distracted about this, but this is fun, just doing the underwater color. What we'll do is a bluer, less gray version of the underwater color. See, I added gray and purple in this. You can see the purple up here, the gray colors here, to represent just general skylight reflection. So if I make a bolder underwater color that doesn't have that in it, I'm making my watercolor without reflection. And then I can use that to make the faces of waves rolling in. So let's take blue. And I killed the intensity a little bit with black and white, so I'll do that. I'm trying to make just my underwater color. And maybe I added a touch of yellow, just a touch of it. Let's see what this looks like. Let's see, just a touch of that yellow. It goes real far, you know, yellow makes it green so fast. I think probably a teensy more white. Let's see what that looks like. So I'll use this to make waves. We'll go up here and we'll make a wave rolling in right here. Okay, it's going to taper there. I'm gonna make them curved a little. So this one's going to come a tiny bit lower in the middle and then swoop back up like that. Okay, so that's a wave. Let's go a little bit lighter on that. I'm going to go lighter and yellower. So I'm adding a little bit of white and yellow to my mix right here, because I think that contrast is just a touch more than I want. Let's go here and go at it again. Like that. There we go. That's a little better right there. So now we've got a wave floating in just by adding that deeper underwater color where the wave would be. Okay, now I'm going to put another one. similar direction, but we're going to take it here just like ripple patterns. You know, it's going to come out in front of this one. This will be the left end of it, and then I'll come over. Now I actually want a little bit darker color because I can't even see it. This is what happens when all your colors are different across your canvas. Okay, now I'm going to curve this one like this, and then we'll taper it out. That curve, you know, represents a very common pattern in nature where you know, the ends are trailing behind where it's moving. You know, it's expand, like someone did a ripple, you know, someone dropped a big boulder in the water out here and it's going in a circular shape. The ripples are rippling out from a point. It's as if, I'm not saying that's exactly what happens or what happened. It's just that pattern is real helpful to recreate, because that slight curve, it only takes a tiny drop in the middle, a tiny height drop in the middle of the wave to create that perspective change. It doesn't take much difference, just a little bit. And as this dries, it'll get darker. This is a nice thing about oils, is they don't change color when they dry, so you don't get tricked into putting the wrong color on your picture. You know, that's something that I do find challenging, sometimes very frustrating. Okay, let's put more waves out there. Let's go right there, put a little one there, a little one here. They curve less and less as they go out, less and less, because in the foreground, I'm looking more downward. In the background, I'm looking just across the top. So we can curve more as I get lower, but as I go out to see, I don't want to see those curved lines anymore. I just want to see level lines. Now, because of the refraction, as I was calling it, where you're seeing, it changes the location of things, changes your visual location of things. So, you know, when we look into a wave like this and we see this window, we're seeing things at a height, you know, it will change the height. So we'll see these as like a window out to the sea. And then when it flips up to the top side, so it's probably not worth just doing a long explanation. I don't want to ruin the video, but anyway, it changes locations of things. So in that window, we might see what's out here appearing down here, because the angle of the water changes and shows us those different things. And then likewise on the top of the wave, we might see things that are lower appearing on the top. It can totally distort where things are. Just for fun, just for giggles, I'm going to take a lighter greener color and put little highlights in the middle of those waves that are rolling in. So here's a lighter, again, I'm shifting toward yellow to get the translucent look, lighter and greener. We're going to go up here, and just wherever I have waves, those are spots where I can put the littlest bit of my highlights. Let's lighten it just a touch more. This maybe wasn't quite as much as I wanted. Let's put little highlights in here like this.
So I got a question on the basic colors of waves, Joe. So I see.
Okay, what's that?
So the part of the wave that comes up and faces us, there's no reflection from the sun, so it's like we can see right through it to the bottom. But then on the back side, it's just the reflection of the sun or atmosphere, whatever's up there.
Yes, and if you want to be technical, you know, it's whatever. If you were to draw the same angle bouncing off the back side, it's whatever object that angle would hit. So when you look at a wave from the side,
so you can see the mountains and everything on that.
Yeah. The side view that I always like to illustrate is right here. You go like this. You know, to understand what we're reflecting on waves, you know, let's go out to sea behind this boat. Okay, these are waves, we're looking at them sideways. Now, if we were standing over here, this is us standing right here, then we are going to draw a line that bounces. Let's just estimate. If it bounces off at the same angle, let's estimate right there. So that's what I'm going to, whatever is here, it might be a cloud, it might be a tall tree, it might be a part of, that's what I'm going to see on that spot. But I'm not going to.
Can we see the camera come out a little bit?
Oh yeah, my bad. Sorry.
Okay, good.
Okay, so here's me, and this is what I've often looked like, looking unnaturally down at water for too long to be ordinary. There we go. Okay. Yeah, thank you. So we look at this spot right here, and we see this ray of light. So that could be coming from a tree, from the sun, from a cloud. So it might be sky reflection. It just depends. Okay, so let's put some object here. We got a rock that's our opposite shore. Well, so what part of the wave are we going to see that reflection on? Well, I'm going to estimate that it would be this part right here, because if I draw a line from the eyes to here and then from here to there, the angle is similar. Okay, so what we can summarize is not that we have to do all this angle math, but we can say that as we look more to the back side of the ripple, the wave, as we look more to the backside, we see lower and lower things. And so that's why on the backside of the wave, that's where I see all of my distant shore reflections, the mountains, the landscape. And then as I come into the foreground, as I start looking more downward at the water, that's why we see the reflection upside down in the water. Because see, here we see the sky, here we see a lower part of the sky, here we see a lower part of the sky, here we see the top of the mountain, here we see a lower part of the mountain, here we see a lower, do you see what I mean? So it ends up making the image upside down on the water. Waves are not, you'll either see the reflection scrunched on a curve, or you'll see the reflection across the whole body of water. It's all about the angles. And so you just understand that basic principle that the lower objects appear further to the back side of the wave. So in these waves, if I wanted to reflect these mountains, then I'm going to go to my furthest viewable backside of my waves to reflect those mountains. That's what I would do. Okay, so if I wanted to reflect, like, in a place where it might be more applicable is if I'm doing a bunch of ripples in here and I want to reflect this landmass right here. But you get the point, and I've done it in a whole bunch of other, if you watch if you see other videos, that's exactly what I'm doing in all of them when I'm doing reflections. Okay, so what does this need? I'm just gonna freely sculpt this picture a little bit more. And I'll get those purple flowers back in there, but right now I just want to stop hating on this thing I did, So I'm using my usual yellow black to make a green, and so here's black, here's yellow, and if I need to, I might add this looks like it could use a little bit of a boost. So let's add some blue and yellow. We'll get a boost on the green for this picture. It's very bright. Okay, so I'm putting another piece of this. I'm working off this distant landmass here. I'm ignoring this bush for now. It was a fun idea. I could put it back in. I just didn't fit it into the picture very well. So something I always try to explain as I'm freely painting is the stuff that I am passionate about teaching are the tools of manipulation, not how to arrive at the masterpiece. I'm giving the dials. It's kind of like, you can make software to make a good song and it gives someone all the dials and the controls. I'm showing you the controls, that does not make me an expert at putting together the final image. I'm just like anybody else, feeling my way through it, seeing what I like, what I don't like. I've just had the fortune of finding these really helpful patterns along the way of my research that, so that when I'm looking at something I don't like, I can say, hey, I can try something else confidently because I know what dials to turn to try something else. Maybe it'll look just as ugly. I don't know.
So in this case, the dial you're turning is the shape and color of that bush.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I'm not really trying to change the color. I'm going to stay with this color scheme, but I know how to quickly sculpt the location and shape. So I'm just trying out a different shape and location because I just hated the way it was directly behind this, making like this column rectangle in my painting that doesn't help me go into the picture, because I just want that feel of being able to walk into it and explore. And I just wasn't getting that vibe from this.
All right.
Right. So now I'm going to put my more orange colored rocks. I put the shadow. Here's the orange. And this, when it mixes with these, is going to make a nice gray brown that will be ideal for rocks. Now all it needs is this is one of the patterns that I use to quickly sculpt, is leaving myself more colorful shadows by not mixing things 100%, so that when I come onto it with white, I put the white where I see the color, not where I see the gray or shadow. And that white will mix with the color, giving me the look of light, because when light shines on something, it's adding color, because that's what color is. So we want to put the white on a color, not on a gray, if I want the look of an object being illuminated. So all I do is just put little bits of white, and then I get the look of light hitting this wall. And then I'm just sloping the base of it. I'm sloping the shapes to give me a perspective of it going back at the angle of my hand approximately. Like that. And I'm just using trial and error to see if I like that better. And I do like it better indeed, because now I feel like I can actually enter my picture in my imagination. That was the part that was missing for me. It wasn't really loving. Here's more orange. We're going to do some, here I'll use my watered down yellowish color. And let's see how that works.
So would you say that is a characteristic, because I've heard you talk about this a lot about painting in such a way that it draws the viewer in to want to explore the landscape.
Yeah, right. That's what I love doing. Yeah, because that's where I just, I'm basing it off my own experience. What draws my interests. I was a nature lover growing. As soon as I'd get home from school, man, I would just take off into the field. And even though I had allergies, even though there were bugs and annoying things like that, I just wanted to be out there. And I dreamed of living in a jungle when I was like, what I want to do when I grow up is just be a wild man in the jungle, live in a tree house and be friends with the animals. I mean, this is what I wanted. I just loved it. So my point is, I was a natural adventure lover, and I still am at heart. I just have different opinions on the practicality of it. And so when I, this is what keeps me excited. People have different reasons for being excited about a picture. But when I see a picture that allows my imagination to go to that happy place of adventure, that is the mood that I love to capture. I want a happy place that I want to go. That's my main goal. Now there's other reasons to paint pictures for sure, and I painted pictures.
Like what? Like
what? An emotion. To capture an emotion just like a song does, and then when people see that, they say, "Hey, I'm not the only one feeling this way." That's not necessarily take me into an adventure.
Sure.
And so I love being able to capture emotion just as well. But I think my number one interest in painting is something that makes you want to be there. I want something that makes me want to be there. That's it.
Interesting.
The old saying, whatever floats your boat. We could pun that. You could make a pun based on this painting.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's an important thing. Now, so my unasked for life advice, since it's, I'll be brief, is don't waste time doing something that doesn't bring meaning. Man, it's just my opinion, but I just think that the absence of doing something, if you actually have a drive, if you actually have a passion to work, so I'm talking about that passion to work at something. If there's something that you feel like you really would get joy out of working on, just do it. Just do it. Just start. That's my opinion. Just my opinion. I can be wrong, but I haven't regretted treating my own life that way yet. Okay, I'm just putting my greenery in on top of these, just kind of trying to get lighter and grayer as it goes back. There we go. Just piecing this together. Okay, there we go. We got rocks, trees coming down. I opened up my little cove a little bit more. And so now let's take another shot at the concept of my, I like the concept of my nice plant, my greenery here. It just wasn't executed super well. So once again, this is going to be a foreground object. Sorry, I didn't switch the camera. Here's a much yellower green. These are going to once again be maybe the undersides of leaves coming up, but I'm going to leave enough space in between them that I don't destroy the perspective that I just worked hard on. Well, hard, so to speak. Okay. Putting in the undersides, and then after I do this, I'm thinking I'll put in also some branches. I'll take a little more time to just not do a bunch of splotchy representations, but to actually, it ended up making more of a difference than I thought it would, the shape that I ended up with on this. So I'm going to take just a little more care than I did the first time around to spread these shapes out so I can see things through it, so I still have my perspective. I'm starting with the yellower green. Yellower darker green, because the yellower is a green that light is shining through, just like the wood, just like the water, shifted toward yellow to make light shine through it. And then I'm going to put some branches on there. So here is some, I'll just use gray, black and white. We'll go down here and just take a black and white. It'll probably look like some shade of brown when it's on this big turquoisey painting. We'll see. I can always add a little orange if it doesn't. Let's see what that looks like. Now I'm thinking darker. There we go. Let's make a color like that and start making branches come down here. Oh, I want to go darker. I want some good contrast because this is pretty close. This is like a foreground object. And so we'll go in here, we'll put a couple teeny little branches, just lightly graze across the canvas. Not a super easy task to just barely touch the canvas. Okay. Now I'm going to go down here and put maybe a couple little branches this way, maybe some this way. Trying to get some graceful curves on it with a big clunky brush. This is not ideal, but I think it'll work.
So we got a time check here, Joe. It's 10:26.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I probably should wrap it up here pretty soon. I did say that this was going to be an hour and a half, but in the tradition of all of my other videos, I'm going to go a little bit over. Hey, I didn't choose doing what I love for a living just to get ripped away from it.
Well, and the reason why we keep coming back is to watch you do something you love to do.
Thank you, Mavis. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. What's your favorite thing to do? I'm curious.
Well, it's currently to paint. I have never been drawn to paint so much in my life.
That is fascinating. Yeah. Man, I wish I had a picture to show off. Would you mind if I show off the picture you're working on this video? There's people watching from YouTube, so I need to ask permission before I embarrass you. It's so good.
I wouldn't mind because I like the way my mural's going.
Yeah, I want to do that. Well, so for context, before I show it, I want everybody to know that Mavis, I met Mavis at a workshop, and she said, I just want to learn to paint. That was the goal. So I've started this mural. I want to learn to paint. And she, from zero, has just researched how to mix color, all the things, drawing, perspective, color, all these things. And so she's been real involved with the Super Peer project and then other workshops. But she is so incredibly self-motivated in making amazing progress. Like, I'm blown away every time I see her picture. And she's not the only one, but since you're here, I want to show off what you've done. It's just so cool.
Well, I love it that you have answers to all my questions. And so there's this sense of progress that I never had a sense of before.
Okay, sweet. Man, I'm happy to hear that. Okay, now I'm using a not quite as yellow green, so I'm going down here. I am going to show that picture. I'll just finish up what I'm doing. So I'm doing a less yellow green here. So we'll do some black, blue, and yellow, just not as much of the yellow. And why don't we just lighten it with this color right here? Let's take that. There we go. Now this is going to be the top sides of leaves. I probably can afford more yellow than that. It just needs to be less, that's all. And lighter, and that'll make it the top sides of the leaves instead of the bottom side. So then if I come up here and just start putting this in somewhere, well, it looks like maybe I did go a little heavy on the yellow still. We'll make some leaves going in there. We'll get a little darker as we move into that shadow. We can still put that. I kind of like that gradient that gets darker as it goes in here. Put some foliage coming up like this. And then I'll put some up in here. Let's put just a few little spots. Hopefully this will show up. I'll go over the parts of the branches that I think are the ugliest. Strategically cover up the worst spots.
Yeah, what do you consider to be an ugly branch? I'm not.
Oh, any little blob. Whenever I didn't make a graceful line, but the brush kind of shook and made a blob shape, that just with my eye, if it catches my eye, it's just, different people might see different things. So it's not like any kind of an absolute rule, but it's just my strategy to.
Yeah, so I can relate to that, like something that looks out of place.
Yeah, sometimes it's just, for perhaps even mysterious reasons that I don't know. If something that just looks off from the rest, and I think the picture would look better without, if it just I just very intuitively scan the picture, and if anything grabs my attention as a distraction from what I'm trying to see, then I'm like, oh, that's a good spot to put this next thing over the top of. It's a good spot to do that.
All right.
Okay, now I've got my more thinly dispersed foliage. And so now I'm going to take another shot at my purple flowers in there. I want my pretty flowers in the picture. Man, I love flowers. They are so amazing. And we've got some good ones growing in our garden right now. The nice weather has hit in Arizona, and we got flowers springing up everywhere. Okay, so here's my method to flowers. I start with the bold primary color of the flower. And then I come up here and make a bunch coming out of maybe coming out of a shadow. We'll see if I can find shadows to bring them out of. You can put them in the light too, wherever you want to put them. I want to be mindful of the amount of shadow that it's located on, because that's how much white I'll add. So this, I'll add a lot of white because this one's out here in the more sunlit zone. I'll keep dabbing it until the purple shows up. There, see how it gets a little more purple as it goes down near the base, and then I have my brightest, whitest colors out near the end. So that the brighter colors come out of the shadow, while the darker ones go back into it. There we go. A quick little gradient is all it needs to become three-dimensional little purple flowers. Okay, I really, I've got these random flowers hanging down right here. Let's just do something fun and just say that those are hanging down like this. Who knows what kind of tree can do this? I did see some amazing trees growing over in the other half of the world. I just saw pictures of them that seems to have dangling pink and purple flowers. Maybe you know that better than I do, Mavis, but all I know is it looked awesome. And I thought, man, I want to paint something like that one of these days.
Okay, so I'm focusing on a message in the chat from Jose, which is in Spanish, and I think he is asking you if you can use an iPad for to make videos in digital art.
Hey. Well, I've done it before. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you use all the same principles. You know, the mixing is different on that. You're not going to get paint mixing on that. So the what colors do when they mix, there's a learning curve on just refiguring the way things mix. But I don't think that's super complicated. You just spend some time on it. But yes, you know, I paint by understanding shapes, edges, gradients, how they make three-dimensional form. There's nothing stopping you from taking the same knowledge to the digital world. With everything going so digital these days, I imagine there's a whole bunch of application for that, you know.
Well, actually, in your Color App program, I use that on my iPad.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, because
I
of the
do have that.
touchscreen.
Okay. All right, we'll put a couple more of these. I'm just putting my dingly little purple flowers, just trying to get the value to match what the surroundings are. You know, I don't want it to be too much darker or too much lighter than the surrounding values. In values, I'm referring to how dark or how light it is, and that's all. Nothing to do with the gray or the color or anything. Values are just how dark or light it is, and that's what I'm paying attention to as I'm adding the white highlights to this. Just being careful to put similar values near each other so that it looks like those flowers are on that tree. Man, wouldn't it be cool if there was a little bit of orange in there? I don't know what kind of tree could ever do that, but man, let's just put some bright orange yellow. Watch. I'll do that real quick. I'm going to take this color now.
Okay, let me interject a comment by Leanne, who's obviously has better Spanish skills than I do. Says, Mavis,
okay.
I think Jose is hoping Joe would do videos in digital art with iPad.
Oh, okay. I have done that before. I have. I don't see myself doing a lot of it in the future. I have to be honest with you. I'm sorry. Because the time it takes to get into a new medium, but I used to have an iPad and I did videos at that time when I had them. I did that very thing. I made videos with it and it was fun. So there's a couple old videos that have me messing around on an iPad screen where I'm adjusting pictures digitally. Perhaps more in the future.
So those are on Jose can find those on YouTube?
Yeah, I would have to really say they're there and they're public, but man, I just don't even know where you'd find them. Now, I don't know what you'd search for there. You know, I'm sorry. You'd think I'd have a better grip on referencing my own YouTube channel, but I don't. I really don't. There we go. We got orange flowers and purple flowers. But look, I just love the two colors together. You know, I just wanted to see I just thought it looked cool. So I'm happy with the way that looks. And let's put another one. I'm kind of using this little technique of just taking the brush and flipping out a few different directions. Here we go. A little curve stroke that way. You know, I'm going to do a curved stroke. This is the big version. I'm going to go like this, but real little. Shoop, like that, you see? And then we do another one right here, then another one going into the middle, then another one out from the middle. Now we got 4 little petals coming off of that. And I won't add white to these because these are in the shadow. You know, just keep the white to the ones that are out here in the sunlight. Okay, that's enough for now. That's enough.
Well, those are beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, if you're able to capture 3-dimensional shape with just a quick color relationship, the imagination does great things with that. You know, sometimes a painting is more pleasant to look at when details are not included, because details are not always accurate. So better to let the imagination fill them in the way it wants to see them. So
Uncle,
you know, I'll just use them.
Uncle 60 has a question. Do you ever use any acrylic mattes or gloss mediums?
Only to clear coat. I've used acrylic clear coats just to protect. And no, I need to correct that. I have used an acrylic medium in the form of a faux glaze. Remember, it was like a cool thing to get a transparent faux glaze, add pigment to it, and put a rag all over your wall to get a fun effect. That was like a big thing in the early, you know, closer to the 90s. And so there's gallons of that faux glaze that's, if you're doing big work, I've used that in order to thin my paint out without it being watery. So whenever I want to thin out the color but still have the thick texture to do things, I did that with water. If you watch, I think I used it on some water that I was working on, but it's been a long time. I can't remember the video. I have done that. It's worth trying. You know, you can get some fun effects because, you know, it puts some distance between the color and the canvas. A heavier body, maybe the light looks a little different when you put a light on your painting. Who knows? I've had some fun, but in the end, those are all very minor. I really put the highest priority on just understanding the patterns of color relationships and everything visual I want to see. I just get with that first, and all the other things are minor enhancements. Okay, I don't have a lot of knowledge about working with mediums. Hey, I'm going to stop there for today. I'm not ending the stream. I'm pulling up your picture, Mavis, but I'm going to stop on the painting there.
Okay, well, while you're looking for it, Uncle 60 has a follow-up comment. Propylene glycol do-it-yourself mix works as a slow dry medium, gives you time to blend if needed. I also use a mix of xanthan / Arabic gum as a medium.
Okay, that's cool. And where would you find that? I don't even know where you'd find that. I know that the propylene glycol is in antifreeze. You can use a little bit of antifreeze. I don't know if people want to work too closely with that. Okay. All right, Mavis, I'm looking at my inbox. I want to find the picture you sent in. So I'm going to search right here for the paintings. Okay. So I'm showing this partly just to brag about the class, you know, environment we've got going, and partly just because you need to see how good Mavis is doing on this, on the progress. Here it is, right here. This is what Mavis painted. This is a famous monument rock structure in Arizona. She's working on a mural with multiple rock structures like this, and she went from zero knowledge about drawing and painting to doing this over the course of a few years, just a few. And so this is the current progress, and every time she shows me, she's telling me how she's learned a new thing, increased in her knowledge, and like you said, Mavis, you like having the questions answered.
That's right, Joe, and I just appreciate that so much. I've been working on this for 5 years, and so it's not like something I'm going to do on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, right. I got you. Yeah, well, and when you say you've been working on it 5 years, we're talking about we're not talking about left to right, top to bottom with a tiny brush working on it for 5 years. We're talking about trying a technique, painting over it, redos, trial and error. It's this working on the whole picture as a whole for 5 years, understanding how to get to your goals, you know, to put that in context. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but okay. I'm going to stop on this painting. Anything else done on this painting, I won't do on a live stream. I think I filled up enough videos with this one, but I'll show when I get, you know, if I finish this one, I'll show the final. There's a lot of things I would like to do. Maybe some brighter colors. These look a little grayer than I would like them to be, but you know, the scheme is coming together. Maybe I still don't love the symmetry between this and this. Maybe I'll move those around just for the sake of seeing if I get a more organic looking feel. But hey, it's fun having the things to dial, you know, knowing how to turn the dials. That's the stuff that I love demonstrating. I don't love telling you where to put the things in your picture. You know. All right, you get the point. I appreciate everybody watching. Mavis, I appreciate your help looking at all the comments.
Hey, and thank you, Joe. I think that's a great picture.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, so take a look at the Super Peer platform. You can go and subscribe for free. You can do just like Mavis is doing right now. Just call in anytime, just like Mary did. And we always have a lot of fun. Great community of encouraging learners, including myself. Okay, we'll catch you all later. Thanks. Have a good weekend.
Hey, thanks, Joe. You too.